Previously on Foursquare Sports, my boy Kenneth Walker, I must predict his future over and over again.
I don't know where he goes next. I think that the problem is there aren't too many teams that will, other than the Kansas State Chiefs. I think the Kansas State Chiefs might want a running back. If they don't take Jeremiah Love in the draft, they're probably going to end up looking at Kenneth Walker and maybe signing him, because if you look at the Chiefs, they are also a running back factory. They had Isaiah Pacheco, who's washed. They had Brashard Smith, who's young and inexperienced. And they have Kareem Hunt, who's, again, washed. So their backfield needs an upgrade. And I think Kenneth Walker could do that.
Not only did I predict that Kenneth Walker would suspectfully go to the Kansas City Chiefs, I also realized that Alec Nava was wearing the same shirt last week that he's doing this week.
Well, isn't that ironic? Well, I did a certain thing last year with High Point's first appearance in March Madness. Let's run it back.
We're going to run it back this week because we got a lot of NFL talk and a little bit of March Madness, and we also have Fresh Fire Friday. We got Kevin Zealous coming back. Let's play the intro. Let's do it.
Flag football is almost as bad as amateur wrestling.
There's a lot that needs to be fixed.
What are we even hearing about?
Tiny rant here. I can't. Brian Cashman is as dumb as a doornail.
The U.S. will beat Canada in the gold medal game.
Guarantee!
Get Anthony Volpe off of my team.
Just give me my team.
We are here. We are back. Episode number 38 of Foursquare Sports. I probably shouldn't even be calling this title. I'm going to call anyway. This episode is entitled Meth, Money, and Mayhem. Why? Because the NFL is probably as high as a kite right now with the stuff that they've been going on this entire offseason. That's the meth and money. The mayhem is also the fact that we've seen March Madness stuff go up in flames. And again, the NFL just making some ridiculous moves amongst teams that we probably didn't even expect in the first place. Also, brief reminder, it's Pi Day. It's 3/14.
That's right. I didn't even think of that. That's a good
That's a good touch.
It was a good touch. My favorite pie ever is penne vodka pie. Anyways, Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zealous, Alec Nava. How you doing, gentlemen?
Matt, Alec, I'm glad to be back with you guys. I missed you guys last week, but I was traveling back for visiting a certain someone here. I visited Matt himself in person. We had a great time. We went on a big food tour, and then Matt had to tap out after halfway through. I'm glad to be back on the show with you guys. We're gonna miss John too. He's gonna be a little bit sick, but I'm excited to be back with the show with you guys.
Yeah, John's got a little something. I don't know if it's the temperature changes, because that typically can make people sick.
True.
If you are under the weather because of the temperature changes as we are entering spring, please prepare for yourself. If you need to get some type of antibiotic, do it. I had to do it, and it worked. Because look at me now.
Much better from previously, yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Okay. Now, I mentioned we're going to go into a heavy NFL. Let's get into the NFL right now, because this offseason has been absolutely absurd. There were over 25 moves made just on Monday. And then over the course of the week, we've been seeing ridiculous move after ridiculous move after ridiculous move. Some are really good. Some didn't make sense. And then some are just questionable decisions. Others are also big financial moves that we didn't expect at all that made us put the word meth in the title. So what we're going to do to begin this segment, we're going to go over some of the big acquisitions that were made. A lot of them came from one team, and Kevin and I know where this is going.
Oh, Big Blue in NYC, red and blue.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Actually, let's go over the Giants' recent transactions over the course of the week. We got Isaiah Likely. We signed him for a 3-year, $40 million guarantee contract with more to come. We got Ardarius Washington, also Raven. Jordan Stout, also Raven. We re-signed Jordan Illuminar to a 3-year contract. We signed Greg Newsom II from Jacksonville on a 1-year proven contract, full cornerback. We signed Patrick Ricard, the Ravens fullback. That was insane. We got Jason Sanders, kicker for the Dolphins. We extended Micah McFadden. We got Jason Pennick back on a 1-year deal. We got Calvin Austin. We signed Elijah Campbell, who's probably going to be a special teams guy. We got Tremaine Edmonds to replace Bobby Okereke. And then just today, we signed Darnell Mooney to a 1-year contract.
That's right. All those deals, if you look at it, and there was a couple of moves that I was like scratching my head at. One move was re-signing Isaiah Hodgins. Okay, not bad. Re-signing Aaron Stinney, which I'm like, okay. We still need some more guard work. I mean, re-signing Micah McFadden, I think was good. I thought he performed well last season for us. Then re-signing Evan Neal. That was the big head-scratching move for me.
Yeah.
If you look at his contract, it's only for 1 year for I think $1.2 million. $0 guaranteed, by the way, for Evan Neal. So this is literal 1-year prove-it deal. And if John Harbaugh thinks that he can fix him somehow, then fine. But personally, I don't trust Evan Neal as far as I can throw him.
No.
The great acquisitions, like value acquisitions that we signed. You mentioned today they signed Darnell Mooney, who I really like, especially because you guys know I love picking him whenever I do fantasy football. Especially
you do.
My flex spot, and because he's a really good receiver. And you also pair him with another receiver that we got. Who was it?
Calvin Austin,
that's right. And these are value signings for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're both on 1-year deals, and they're very cheap. And if you look, and basically, both of them are basically equivalent to Wan'Dale Robinson, who we did lose, for a way cheaper price. Like if you look at what's it called, Calvin Austin. So compared to Wan'Dale Robinson for us had 9 touchdowns, 389 targets, 9.2 yards per carry, and he got a 4-year, $78 million deal with the Titans. Calvin Austin got 8 touchdowns, 143 targets, so 1 less touchdown, 13.1 yards per carry, so that's more than Wan'Dale, and we got him for a 1 year, $1.5 million. That is incredible value for a guy that, as Alec knows, he was on his Steelers last year. He provides speed, and he can separate himself from wide receivers. And basically, if you really think about it, Calvin Austin was a big reason of why John Harbaugh was even fired, because he got the game-winning touchdown.
That's correct.
Versus the Ravens, and to knock him out of the playoffs for the final regular season game. And now he's going to be under Coach John Harbaugh. And now you got a guy like Darnell Mooney. Again, great value signing. It's for 1 year for that could be up to $10 million, so a little bit more expensive, but worth it. And you get a guy that is also speedy, can have great separation, and you have the makings of a great wide receiver core when you pair him with Malik Nabers, a healthy Malik Nabers. You can have Nabers, Slayton, Calvin Austin, Darnell Mooney, and then you just mentioned the big first acquisition, which was tied into Isaiah Likely, who you can argue was even better than Mark Andrews last year as a great tight end and duo. And you also still have Theo Johnson, who balled out last year as a big tight end. And then you get a fullback like Patrick Ricard, and you know what that means? That means more rushing space for Cam Scadaboo to go free. And when I saw them sign a fullback, you know what this reminds me of, Matt? Remember back in 2011 or 12, the Super Bowl, the last time the Giants made a Super Bowl? Remember we had Henry Hynoski?
I do.
And then we had a nice running back duo with Ahmad Bradshaw and Brendan Jacobs. Well, now this iteration of the Giants is going to have Patrick Ricard as a fullback, Cam Scadaboo, and Tyrone Tracy with Singletary in the back end if you do need him. So you have basically John Harbaugh's trying to recreate that type of old school Giants team, and I really love the acquisitions that he's made so far. Ardarius Alexander is also a nice corner piece that we added, as who was Elijah Campbell, who I didn't know was a special team stud, and Tremaine Edmonds. That's a great linebacker replacement for Okereke. Jason Sanders, I thought, was a very underrated signing because we have been struggling to find kickers who could actually kick field goals.
Oh, our kickers last year were atrocious.
Yes, like last year we had Jude McAtomney, Graham Gano, who's on one leg and he's old and he's missing field goals. I'm surprised he hasn't been cut yet.
Right.
Younghoe Koo, who was okay and then fell off a cliff, and Ben Sauls, who we got in the latter part of the year, who actually was the best out of all of them. I didn't even hear of it, and he hit of his 8 field goals that he with the Giants, and now you signed a kicker who in Jason Sanders, who was very effective when he was with the Miami Dolphins, and he's going to be competing with Ben Sauls for the starting kicker job. And finally, that's really good. And what do you know? Welcome back, Jason Pinnock. We missed you.
Yep.
A great guy who can tackle, who already knows the system well, and I think he's going to work well under John Harbaugh. Grant Newsome was a nice corner pick, like some corner depth. I still think we need to draft a corner, maybe like third round in this upcoming draft. Jordan Stout getting arguably one of the best punters, if not the best punter, in the entire league last year. So that was very nice. And re-signing Jermaine Illuminor, which that was the signing that I was like, okay, this is cool and all, but if we don't sign Jermaine Illuminor, I'm not going to feel as good. But then we got it back, and that secures Andrew Thomas and Jermaine Illuminor as the best left tackle and right tackle duo in the league. And that really solidifies those tackles at those offensive line positions. So really the only weaknesses that we really need to address on are corner and guard, especially if you don't re-sign Greg Van Roten at the right guard. And so they re-signed Evan Neal, but I have a feeling that you're going to see a lot of Marcus Bowe at either right guard or left guard, depending on if we decide to cut John Runyon at left guard. But I think we need to give Marcus Bowe a chance because I think he did well at right tackle whenever Illuminor was hurt. No, it was whenever Tom was hurt, it was left tackle, but he played fine. He could play guard too. I think we need to address guard in the draft or maybe before the draft even starts. But all these acquisitions, like, they're very good. And they're not like overly expensive like some other teams are. Like John Harbaugh, his what's it called? His lure, like of the reputation that he's received, is drawing all these players in, and I love that. And I think like he wants to. I've heard like rumors about like Jeremiah Love. I'm like, we don't need him, man.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. He can go to Washington.
Be really mad because we don't need a 4th running back. We have 3 running backs and a center fullback, so that room is fine. And like getting Darnell Mooney, I wonder if this means that we're not gonna think about drafting Carnell Tate at 5 if he's there. I feel like you might maybe go Sonny Styles to even bolster that linebacker group, or maybe you go a Caleb Downs to bolster the safety group, because frankly, the safeties that we do have are not the best. Like Javon Holland and Tyler Nubin, and even to an extent, we got Jason Pinnock back, which is nice. But I still think the safety room could use a little bit more fine-tuning. But overall, this offseason has been a slam dunk by John Harbaugh and company. They've done a fantastic job. And I cannot be more amped up as a Giants fan heading into this upcoming season.
Oh, I was hyped up to the point where I had to make a video on Instagram and put it on our page. That's how excited I was.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Giants have been this aggressive in the offseason in a very, very, very long time. Hell, I think when Tom Coughlin was our coach, he wasn't this aggressive.
Nope.
So this just tells me that everything that John Harbaugh said he was going to do, he went straight to work as soon as Monday hit. He went straight to work. He did not fool around. He was not passive. He was aggressive. He made sure that he was on top. And early and often, the Giants would make moves. It seemed like every few hours, okay, the Giants signed someone. Okay, the Giants signed someone. Okay, we signed Jermaine Illuminor. Like, this is what we need.
Yeah.
A total, okay, let's put my plan to action mode. And you mentioned John Harbaugh's reputation in Baltimore. It proved that it carried over into New York. And plus, New York is a bigger market than Baltimore.
That helps out a lot.
Consider the fact that we did a complete overhaul in the coaching staff too. And
yeah, we did.
Combine that with all these offseason moves, you got a team that's been rehauled, like from the ground up essentially. And then you bring Donna Ponte in here, in a front office setting. She's doing her work too. So she's doing a lot of work for this Giants team too. And then we finally getting rid of Steve Tisch off our team. He's going to get his stakes into his children's trust funds. Great. Get him off my team. Get that Epstein file guy out of my life. He doesn't deserve to be in this organization anymore. But that's just a bonus on top of everything else has been done.
Yeah, like this organization is cleaning up their mess. They're cleaning up their mess. And that's the ultimate thing you want to see as a Giants fan. Like, we were 4-13 last year, but you know what? We probably could have been above 500 had we won some of the games that we lost in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to say, forget just the playoff spot. The Giants are going for the division.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes, and it's funny. I was with a friend of mine who's a big Philadelphia Eagles fan today. I want to get on their side of the spectrum. They haven't really done anything. I mean, they got Tariq Woolen. Okay, fine, great. You add to your secondary, but you lost Reed Blankenship. You lost Nakobe Dean. You lost Jalen Phillips to Carolina, which was a shocker. Like, their defense, which is highly touted, is falling apart. Okay, you re-signed Jordan Davis. Whatever. Like, this defense was all about depth, and now they don't have depth anymore.
It's top heavy.
It's not even this. Go ahead.
It's top heavy. Like, you're relying on Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean and Zach Bond to carry the likes of that defense that's led by Vic Fangio. The identity of what the Eagles have, which is the depth of that defense, that's gone now. So you're running a top-heavy team, and you know what? The history behind top-heavy teams, they don't tend to go well.
Mm-mm.
And the jury.
And it's not even just defensively. Go ahead, Kev. I'm sorry.
And speaking of the Eagles, the jury is still out on A.J. Brown, who they've dangled in trade rumors, and the Eagles have stated they wanted a first rounder and top 100 pick for him, but no team is really biting off that. You seem like maybe the Patriots are one of those teams that are like big suitors for him, but I don't see that happening. And like that rumor being like they offered him like a first rounder and like a couple of second rounders or whatever it was, and the Eagles refused. So I don't even know if A.J. Brown's going to be an Eagle next year. We'll have to first see what happens there. But like you mentioned, Eagles really haven't done anything to improve their team besides maybe, like you said, signing Tariq Woolen to bolster the secondary.
And it's not even just them. Dallas, hello, is anyone home? other than tagging George Pickens, they haven't done anything. And then Washington, they've been silent. They're banging on players coming back from injury and then hoping that they do well and pick up where they left off.
About that, they signed Odafe Owe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all they did.
Oh, and Dallas, they traded for Rashawn Gary and
it's been quiet. It's been so quiet. Like, this whole division has been sleeping on the Giants. Pun intended. But it's just like, it's kind of amazing to me what a little change a coach can do to a whole organization. The whole outlook of this franchise has changed literally in a snap because John Harbaugh has a plan. He's putting it to action. He's not messing around, and he wants to show the Ravens that they made a big mistake in firing him.
And we'll get to the Ravens later when we talk about offseason winners and losers so far.
We definitely will, especially pertaining to an entire saga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say about that.
So we spent a good 18 minutes talking about the Giants, but while Alex is here, we got to get into their acquisitions too. Mm-hmm. While they didn't make a ton like the Giants did, they made 3 really good acquisitions. They traded for Michael Pittman Jr. That was a win.
Yeah.
You signed Rico Dowdle, you got your backup running back because you lost Kenneth Gainwell. And then you signed Jamel Dean, which helps your secondary a lot. Like, I don't know what else the Steelers named off the top of my head. Like, I'm literally writing notes on my phone, and I can't even keep up with the news that's going on. But besides those 3 acquisitions out, what else did Pittsburgh do?
All right, besides Michael Pittman, Rico Dowdle, and Jamel Dean, here's the rest of it. We extended Cam Hayward to a 2-year deal, which essentially negates the contract he's previously on, and then going out onto a 2-year deal that takes him to his age 37 year. Signed Jaquan Brisker, bring him back to his hometown team. Signed Sebastian Joseph Day as a run stopper at the nose tackle. Brought back Asante Samuel Jr. as a backup corner. Signed Cameron Johnston to take over the punting duties because Carlos Waitman's going to San Francisco. And signed Darnell Savage as a depth safety piece. So all of this is a good offseason for us. I wasn't sure what to expect in year 1 under Mike McCarthy, and I have to say that even though I still question the fit of McCarthy, and we don't know what the plan is under center, and you could say the left side, the offensive line, Omar Khan focused on the dire needs that we were looking to fill in. Wide receiver 2 being one of them. Trade for and extended Michael Pittman Jr. We get another big-bodied wideout that can get the contested catches. DK Metcalf has been, as you can say, consistently inconsistent, but with him as our best wideout, there wasn't really any other truly consistent wide receiver on the team. Calvin Austin has been clutch for us. All 3 of his touchdowns last season were all game winners with speed and separation, but he fits more as a slot option. Pittman is a true outside option. And the slot option can easily be filled in by either Roman Wilson or Ben Skoranek in that regard. Rico Dowdle fits the mold as a physical presence at the running back room, and we needed that to complement Jaylen Warren, who's more of the speed guy. Dowdle is the power guy, and Dean may be the most underrated signing of any secondary signing in this free agency class. His time in Tampa Bay was very productive. Remember, he was a Super Bowl champion as the outside corner opposite Carlton Davis, and he emerged as the CB1 when Davis left. And he took over the shutdown role in nice fashion. Him complementing Joey Porter Jr., that's one of the best corner tandems that we've assembled in the free agency period. And it returns Jalen Ramsey to the safety role that he's been playing throughout last season next to Deshaun Elliott, who should be back in time for the new season. This could leave Brandon Echols at the slot, which is a more natural fit for him and Ramsey for both parties. And Brisker, have to see where he stands for him. And Ramsey can fill in not either at the safety position or at the slot so that we can get Brisker in certain situations and paired next to Elliott. So it's a mix and match in which our new defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, can mix and match through. And the safety room looks much improved. But the fact of the matter is, we're in a better place right now than we are a year ago. The big question mark is who we have under center. And the expectation is Aaron Rodgers comes back, which you can do a lot better, but he'll be keeping it stable, but you could do a lot better to him. Though if the contingency plan is to have Will Howard start under center, this is a wait and see on Howard because he's a 6th-round pick. We don't know how he truly is, but if he's learning from Rodgers, I think that's the best news for Howard.
Well, keep in mind, Will Howard had a very good college career at the University of Ohio State, a former national champion. And, you mentioned learning under Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love learned under Aaron Rodgers. He sat behind him for 3 years, and that turned out to be good for Green Bay at this point. So maybe Will Howard can learn a thing or two, but it all depends on whether or not Aaron Rodgers wants to come back another year. The speculation is he'll give it one more year and then call it a career. But at this point, he's been very silent about it. We haven't really heard much on his side of the story of what he wants to do. But that's typical Aaron Rodgers.
It is. He usually stays silent and waits until right around the middle months of the offseason to make his announcement. So the speculation is he's going to stay silent up until, let's say, June. And then by then, he's going to say, I'm coming back, Pittsburgh. And keep in mind that he was much happier here under Mike Tomlin than he was in the Jets when he was dealing with a dysfunctional organization and he was sick of whatever Woody Johnson was doing. Here in Pittsburgh, it was a more stable organization. And even though I have my awards on Art Rooney II, but the Steelers are a more stable organization than the Jets. That I can guarantee for sure. If Rodgers comes back, not the worst thing in the world, but if he is going to come back so that Will Howard can learn another year from him, that's good news.
So there's a lot that we're waiting on when it comes to Pittsburgh. We're waiting on what happens at quarterback. And I think that this offseason was so impactful because I think the draft experts take a hit. I think past 3, we don't even know what these teams are doing past 3. I think it's pretty obvious the Raiders are getting Fernando Mendoza. I think the Jets, that's even a question mark of what they're going to do. They brought back Geno Smith, and they did get Minka Fitzpatrick, and they did get DeMario Davis. But I have no idea what they can really do. I don't think they're going quarterback with either of their 2 first-round picks if they want to give Geno Smith a chance, or if they really want to buy into the hype of Ty Simpson, which, by the way, it's not hype. He's not worth it.
Yeah. 1-year starter in college, sell.
Yeah, huge pass.
Yeah.
And even Carson Beck, people are high on him because he actually was not a 1-year starter in college. He's been around for a long time. But at the same time, his tape does not really stand out to me.
That too. And I also want to know what we do at the draft. Now, initially we were going wide receiver, but that can change. Do we go defense? Do we go guard? Because left guard is now a need because Isaac Seumalo left for Arizona. Broderick Jones is our starting left tackle now, and I have question marks about if he's going to stay a long term as a former first round pick. Do we go offensive line? I think we go offensive line to stabilize that. We have Zach Frazier at center. He's good. Mason McCormick at right guard. Okay. Jury's out on the left side. That's what I want to know.
And it's like same with the Giants. We thought we were going to go for Cardinal Tate with the 5th overall pick, but now that we got Darnell Mooney and Calvin Austin, we don't even know if we're going to get a wide receiver. And we got a few defensive backs this past week. Do we really need to get a secondary guy? Do we really need to do that? Do we go with Sonny Styles to beef up our linebacking core? I mean, that sounds like the most logical move to make. But this is why free agency is such a it's the pit stop before the draft. And I mentioned, the Giants moves. We haven't even gotten to the draft yet.
Nope.
We haven't even gotten to the draft yet, and people are praising us already.
Yeah.
That's excellent news for a Giants market that has gone through it ever since Tom Coughlin stepped down.
Nope.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Joe Schoen has another good draft, which I would say Joe Schoen's had a pretty decent draft track record. Decent.
I will say he did hit on Wandale, and he certainly hit on Jermaine Illuminor in terms of acquiring him through free agency. But in terms of draft, he hit on Wandale. We'll see a kind of sort of hit on Thibodeau. Completely missed on Evan Neal.
Yeah.
Deontay Banks, at that point in that draft, I'm not sure what else they could have done because, the Eagles picked Devontae Smith just before us, and I was mad about that because we could have got Devontae Smith if Eagles didn't pick him. So getting Deontay Banks there, he's been decent, but he hasn't been the best. So Joe Schoen's draft has been decent, not over the top.
Right. That's what I was alluding to. You mentioned Kayvon Thibodeau. We might even trade him away, based on what speculation is telling us.
Well, that's another piece of the puzzle, isn't it? Because after this Darnell Mooney signing, Darnell Mooney and Calvin Austin, I was saying maybe we don't go for Cardinal Tate at 5. But if we do trade Kayvon Thibodeau, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of maybe a Ruben Bain Jr. or a David Bailey as an edge to quickly replace Kayvon Thibodeau. Plus, we would probably get a draft pick out of the deal as well on top of that if we were to trade him. So you can do that route if you do decide to trade Kayvon Thibodeau at 5. Because from what I've heard, David Bailey is a big stud. In terms of being an edge rusher, Ruben Bain's also up there. You could fall out at the top 10 as well. So that's another possibility. But right now, if you had to ask me who I think the Giants would pick at 5, I would say either Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. Because with Sonny Styles, it can completely change that linebacker room. I know we got Tremaine Edmonds. And we re-signed Micah McFadden as well. But you can never run out of linebackers and guys who can tackle because that's always a big plus whenever you can have guys like that. And Sonny Styles had a really, really great NFL combine. And Caleb Downs is probably the best safety in this draft class. And like I said, our safety room is not good. Like I said, I know we got Jason Pinnock back, so that helps. Tyler Newman is not good. I'm sorry.
No.
We've paid a ton of money for him. He's been so disappointing. So getting a guy like Caleb Downs who can lead that safety core would be really good. And like I said, Cardinal Tate, at this point, I don't see it happening. But if it does, I'd be shocked, honestly. Again, the one thing I don't want them to do is draft Jeremiah Love at 5 when we already have 3 running backs and a fullback in there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And it's funny because once we restructured Devin Singletary's contract, I thought the jury was definitely on Kenneth Walker. For sure, we were not getting Kenneth Walker. No, and I think this should also confirm that we don't need Jeremiah Love. Now, hopefully Joe Schoen realizes that.
Well, the good news is I don't think it'll be Joe Schoen making the ultimate pick here.
It'll probably be John Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's going to be John Harbaugh because you got to remember when Brian Dable was still our coach last year, it was him that begged Joe Schoen to draft Jackson Dart.
Yes.
Paid off. And he got fired under just certain circumstances, which I didn't agree with. at the time, but I can understand why you would have to make that firing because now we got a guy like John Harbaugh, and I think he's going to go defensive minded with his first pick because you saw like the safeties he's had on the Ravens, Kyle Hamilton, Ed Reed, remember those guys, the linebacker had. Who else was it? Roquan Smith. He's had a ton of great defensive players that he's drafted for that Ravens team, and I think he's going to try to do the same thing with the Giants. Again, that remains to be seen, but the good news is I don't think Joe Shane has all the power when in terms of like making that draft pick.
That's probably why when John Harbaugh made that press conference entrance, that's probably why you saw Joe Shane panicking in the corner a little bit because he probably knew that he was toast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting how draft day works. Think of it. The draft's a month away, over a month away.
Yeah.
And people are loving us.
Excellent news. Excellent. The best news for you.
Oh, it's great. Now, what really ticked me off just a little bit, nothing crazy, was seeing Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, and Cordell Flott, three of our more impactful players from last year, go to the Tennessee Titans where Brian Dable currently is their offensive coordinator.
I think the getting Mooney and Austin kind of softened the blow of losing Wan'Dale a little bit because you got both of those guys who are basically Wan'Dale, but at a way cheaper price. You got to remember, the Titans signed Wan'Dale Robinson for like over $70 million.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Calvin Austin and Darnell Mooney for like total combined like $12 million. So that's really great, and they can do everything that Wan'Dale could. The big loss, in my opinion, was Cordell Flott, I think, because Cordell Flott, he was doing great at corner last year, and he's a rising young star. And to see him losing it to the Titans, he's going to go reunite with Dable, so which is cool for him. So they have some familiarity there. But like losing Cordell Flott takes a big hit on our secondary core. But like I said, we did get our Darius Washington back. And that's really it. And Grant Newsome. So maybe they can make it out of training camp and like compete for like the starting job. And we still have Drew Phillips, who I thought played great last year. Deontay Banks has been last year, so I don't really know. Like I said, we need to draft a corner, maybe the second or third round. Now, originally, before the Darnell Mooney acquisition, I thought for sure we were going to go like Styles or Downs first pick, and then go wide receiver next pick in the second round, and then go corner maybe in the third round. But now I feel like after that, maybe you go corner second round, and then maybe go Downs or Styles the first pick after this.
Right. That's a good point. I mean, there's a lot of options the Giants can do. And honestly, with John Harbaugh, I wouldn't rule out anything past him.
Right.
I'm going to put nothing past him at this point.
Nothing can be ruled out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So we got into the Giants a lot. We got into the Steelers, but I want to get into other moves that were made. I got to start off with some of the ones that I actually did like. First off, I got to say Travis Etienne to the Saints. That was a really good deal.
It's not Etienne. It's not Etienne. According to him, it's Travis Etienne, remember?
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. Here's come the pronunciation mix-ups. Devon Etienne, Travis Etienne. Here and there.
Anyway, the Saints got a new running back. He's from Jacksonville, Travis Etienne. And it was a good deal because I'm starting to notice a decline in Alvin Kamara. He's getting banged up more. He's not as effective as he used to be. And the Saints are looking for a little bit of a spark. I think that once they saw what they had with Tyler Shuck, they probably figured out, okay, maybe we can win ball games if we put some stuff around this kid. I mean, Devin Neal, who replaced Alvin Kamara, did better than Alvin Kamara last year.
True, yeah.
So that just tells you everything you need to know. That he's getting older. He's not getting better. So you need fresh legs in the backfield. And Travis Etienne is definitely an upgrade.
Which is why I whenever I was doing like mock simulators on my phone, I had Jeremiah Love going to the Saints, like what and their top 10 and their pick that they have him, because now after Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs, that rules them out of getting Jeremiah Love, in my opinion.
Right.
So Saints, like if Jeremiah Love is there, I feel like they got to pick him.
Yep. Alec?
I have to say the Saints got a good one with Travis Etienne going to NOLA. You mentioned about Alvin Kamara coming on the decline, and with Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs, Etienne is filling it as the running back number 1 at New Orleans. He's from the state of Louisiana, so it's a homecoming for him. And Etienne had an uncertainty around him when the Jaguars drafted Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen in the same draft too. ETN, he did get off to a hot start, but Jacksonville is banking on Tootin being the full-time running back. Because remember, before ETN left, they traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. So they're banking on a breakout from Tootin. Kamara could be seeing his time with the Saints come to an end. And with this, if he is not dealt, or if the Saints are to contention for the NFC South, because the NFC South is so volatile. It's the Saints, Panthers, and Buccaneers competing for that title. Yes, I'm putting the Saints on notice in the division.
Yeah, and you know what? They deserve it. They deserve it. They made a really good move, and I think that I think this team is taking things seriously. I think definitely coaching has something to do with it, and I think that this team has a lot come from them. And think of it, they started off slow last year, but they picked things up late in the year when it didn't matter.
The good news about the Saints is I think Kellen Moore, for like as not so great record wise, I think there's like Kellen Moore is the proper coach for them. If they can
agree with that.
If they can draft well, and if Tyler Shuck continues to develop like he did in his rookie year, who he did fine, I think Saints could absolutely win that division, especially with like the Falcons like getting rid of Kirk Cousins and signing Tua Tagovailoa. So.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Tua.
You just got me started on that transition now, didn't you? Okay.
Set you up, yeah.
So I went on a big rampage, a big verbal rampage in the Armchair Discord about Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not going to repeat what I said on that Discord because it could be pretty offensive and harsh what I said. Anyway, this guy gets released by the Dolphins. He signs a 1-year contract with the Atlanta Falcons. So now if you look at the Falcons, they got 2 lefty injury-prone quarterbacks on their roster. One of them is going to be a starter, and I bet it's probably going to be Michael Penix Jr. And think of it. This is a squad that has a lot of multi-talent, and they lost Tyler Algier. Let's not forget that. They lost Tyler Algier, and you have Bijan and Kyle Pitts. And, oh, my God, you do this. And Drake London, and you do this. I have no problem with the Falcons' skill positions players, but you need a guy that can get them the ball, and I can definitely tell you right now, Tua is not the guy to do that.
Definitely not.
It's just frustrating.
It's frustrating. Honestly, when the Dolphins released him, I said he should retire because this man has taken too many blows to that. He's been getting beat up, and at this point, I just want the guy to live a healthy life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I've been saying it's either going to be retirement or flag football. Signing with the Falcons is off the table on my book. I don't advise it, and I advise you to. If I'm Tua, I would prioritize the healthy life too, Matt.
Yeah, like there's no need for this. There was really no need for this. I don't know what the Falcons are thinking. I think this was a big mistake, and I think they're going to pay the consequences. Also, Kirk Cousins leaving. He might not be the starting quarterback of the Falcons anymore, but he's collecting a lot of money.
Oh, dude, Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones are probably the biggest thieves of all time because they're getting so much money off of one golden year, and their agents, both of them, should belong in the Hall of Fame. Like
seriously, like I want Daniel Jones as agent, like really badly. Speaking of Daniel Jones, this is where the meth part of the episode comes in.
2 years, $88 million.
With $100 million in incentives, if he can get those.
That's the maximum that he can reach. Oh, that's a Hall of Fame fleecing by his agent.
And then not only did they give him an extension, they gave Alec Pierce a massive extension too, after they got rid of Michael Pittman Jr.
Which, thank you, by the way.
Oh, man.
I can't tell you how ridiculous the Colts are. Because Daniel Jones, you're banking on a guy that's had 2 good years out of 7. And like think of it, he got hurt late last year, and you missed the playoffs because of it. They're probably banking on an 11 games thing right here, like 11 games that he played for you last year where he did good. That's a very small sample size.
I gotta read you the the breakdown of the Daniel Jones contract because it's even more baffling when you read it. $80 million as the base value that can go up to $100 million incentives, $50 million fully guaranteed at the signing, $60 million guaranteed for injury, and it's the max value of $100 million is the largest 2-year contract in NFL history. That is insane to me because, like you said, like you mentioned, he robbed the Giants blind after 1 year of making it to the playoffs and going, and then we decide to re-sign him instead of Saquon Barkley. I'll never forgive Joe Shane for that. And then he had a great year with the Colts last year because Richardson got hurt and was garbage, and Daniel Jones actually played well until he got hurt. And then Phillip Rivers took over for like the last 3 games, and now he gets a big bag, and he's getting almost $100 million for 2 years. It's insane. Like his agent is literally like the MVP here.
This agent is probably like, you know, we talk about what's his face in baseball being the worst.
Soto.
Yeah, we talked about like Juan Soto's agent, you know, being the worst. But this guy, I don't know how he negotiates. I would love to hear his negotiation tactics.
Their names are Brian Murphy and Andrew Kessler.
Oh my God,
I need them as my agents. God dang it,
man. We wish that we had agents like them. Those are Hall of Fame negotiations.
Seriously, I've never in my life thought a guy this mediocre could get this kind of money.
Oh my God. That's Kirk Cousins player agent levels of fleecing.
Like these 2 players literally scammed the system as best as they could, and they're profiting because of it.
Kirk Cousins' agent and Daniel Jones' agent should go out like on a nice dinner. I bet they would be the best of friends.
Oh, seriously. They probably would be.
Now, I know that's insane, but if you think that's insane, you've seen nothing yet, says Eric DaCosta.
Yep. All right, let's get into what happened in Baltimore. So last episode, we talked about how Max Crosby signed with the Ravens. Apparently, there was a swerve because in a rare instance, Max Crosby failed his physical. So the contract was null and void. And the Raiders are savages on Twitter for basically saying we're bowing out of the Ravens contract signing, the Raiders deal with Max Crosby. We're going to leave it there. Savages on Twitter. And what did they do in return? They signed Trey Hendrickson to a 3-year contract from out of Cincinnati to help with that defensive front. So they lost on a defensive lineman. They get a defensive lineman.
Oh my God. Well, this is all insane in and of itself because initially you agree to a trade in which you get a premium defensive lineman at the cost of 2 picks. Now, would you rather want a defensive lineman at the expense of 2 picks? Uh-oh. Right,
You're good.
All right. So would you rather want a defensive lineman at the expense of 2 first-round picks, or would you want a defensive lineman with more injury risk, but you keep your 2 first-round picks?
That's a good point.
It's a double-edged sword that DaCosta and the front office at Baltimore are facing. Hendrickson had a breakout. He is older than Crosby, and Crosby has more long-term upside. And while it's a bad look for the NFL and the Ravens violated no rules. It's a loophole that they exposed because the feeling that I have is that they were talking with Hendrickson during the legal tampering period, and they saw Hendrickson as the better player at the current moment. So they went out and initially made this trade, but they backed out of it because, once again, they identified Hendrickson as the better player and agreed to terms with Hendrickson on that note. But we have a history with Baltimore and backing out of deals before. They once had a deal in place with Ryan Grant in 2018. Failed his physical, chose to sign Michael Crabtree because they identified Crabtree as the better player. When Grant never missed a game with the then known Washington Redskins before he failed a physical with the Ravens. And then in 1997, Brock Marion had a CT scan that revealed his left scapular injury did not fully heal when he was signing a deal with the Ravens. And the signing was Nixon. He returned to the Cowboys. The most complicated issue is Terrell Owens. He himself did not fail a physical in 2004, but he wanted out of San Francisco, who said this previous agent, David Joseph, missed the deadline to void the final years of his contract. The NFL and OPA and Owens disputed this because they contended the deadline the Niners were referring to was not the applicable deadline. San Francisco still believed they held its rights, and they tried to send to Baltimore for a second-round pick. Owens challenged the trade because he assumed that he would be a free agent and did not believe the earlier deadline was applicable. So he negotiated with other teams advance of expected free agency, including the team they eventually signed with, the Philadelphia Eagles. So
Correct.
Before an arbitrator could make the ruling, the NFL and the free teams involved reach a settlement. Baltimore gets a second-round pick back. San Francisco gets a conditional fifth-round pick and Brandon Whiting from the Eagles exchanged for the free agent rights to T.O. So the situation that Crosby is in is similar to the one that Ryan Grant was in. I think it's going to be a very awkward reunion with Crosby and the Raiders, despite the free agency more than splash the Raiders made with addition after addition after addition after addition. And it keeps on going with John Spytek and Tom Brady leading the helm.
Yeah, and think of it. Max Crosby wanted to get out of Vegas. He wanted out in the worst way possible. He was hyped about this. And then when he heard about the physical, he had to return to Las Vegas. So now that frustration is setting in again. And now, if you're the Raiders, you got to try to find another trade partner to trade your unhappy defensive player of the year caliber person to another team.
Yeah, especially since the Raiders signed his replacement in Kwity Paye in free agency.
Yeah, that's right. So there's that move. And then if we look at other moves that were made, Travis Kelce returns to the Chiefs for another year. Crickets.
Well, I hope they draft Kenyon Sadiq at the draft.
Yeah, I agree. The Carolina Panthers defensively, okay, we'll get into that. Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, they signed two really good defensive players in Carolina. That was a really good move. Carolina, we mentioned before, they're in contention to win the division again. And I think this move legitimizes their sense of urgency to get back to the top of the NFC South.
Yeah, Dan Morgan knows that he cannot be complacent and running it back with the same club that ran the NFC South. That's a dangerous mindset to operate. Even if you win the NFC South, you still had an 8-9 record. You want to improve on key areas of weakness, defense being one of those. Devin Lloyd is one of the best linebackers in the NFL, and he's a game changer. He emerged in a contract year in Jacksonville. That's a big win. What legitimizes you is getting Phillips, who emerged as a legitimate edge rusher in Miami and Philadelphia. The injury concerns are still there with Phillips because he had Achilles and ACL tears in Miami, but a solid season last year and a fully healthy year puts him near the top of the market in the premium as a premium edge rusher. Now, he got paid more than Trey Hendrickson. It's a wow contract, but given that Carolina has a losing record, they have no choice but to overpay for his services. When you're hovering around 500, you have no choice but to overpay for certain players.
True. That's true. Now I want to get into another move that actually, this was happening a couple days ago. The Minnesota Vikings got a quarterback, and it was as expected. Kyler Murray is now in Minnesota. There were rumblings going on as to whether or not J.J. McCarthy was going to be the guy going forward. Well, now they're putting that to the test. I suspect that in Minnesota, they're probably going to challenge J.J. McCarthy to see if he can actually take this team to the promised land. And I'm going to say this I don't know if we touched on this a lot, but it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Kyler Murray was the Vikings starting quarterback. Because you're talking about, when it comes to J.J. McCarthy, you're talking about a guy who made Justin Jefferson look bad last year.
That should say something. And something else of note, Kyler Murray's favorite team growing up was Minnesota, despite being from Texas. I don't know if you got a chance to speak on this, Kev, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, as far as the Kyler Murray to the Vikings situation, we kind of had speculation of him possibly going there with them deciding that like J.J. McCarthy, like it seems like they don't really have too much trust in him as compared to what he did last season. Again, I know far too well how bad he was because I had Justin Jefferson, as you guys know, on my fantasy.
You did.
And J.J. McCarthy and Kevin McConnell are both terrorists, like I say, quote unquote. But I think Kyler Murray, I think is a fine move as a bridge quarterback. Now I wonder if like the Jets are also doing the same thing, where they brought Geno Smith back for 1 year. So the Vikings are bringing Kyler Murray in as a bridge quarterback for 1 year as well. So I wonder the Jets and Vikings next year and next year's draft, it's going to get interesting because depending on who has the worst record, they're probably going to look at the top quarterbacks in a quarterback class next year. It's going to be way better than this year's iteration. So you could see them vying for like maybe Arch Manning next year. I think
Right.
the Jets or the Vikings do worse because they can both easily just have do away with Geno Smith and Kyler Murray because, again, they're both for 1 year. And you got to keep in mind there's other quarterbacks out there that you could sign as a bridge. Russell Wilson is now available.
Right.
So yeah, I think Kyler Murray to the Vikings, it does make sense, but at the same time, I think this is preparing for next year's draft, to where you can draft a better quarterback to build around. But I think this is a far better upgrade than J.J. McCarthy was, and I think Kyler Murray is going to give the Vikings decent quarterback play rather than last year.
And you got to think of it too. Minnesota, at one point, they were putting J.J. McCarthy on the trade block. They were going to listen to offers for J.J. But guess what? No one wanted him. And you know what? If you watch the tape at Michigan and you watch how he's played so far in less than a season in the NFL out of a 2-year period, you could see why.
Yeah. He just doesn't have the intangibles that a good high-end quarterback should have. Like he has too many turnovers. He holds the ball too long. He's making guys like Justin Jefferson look like a bad player. And keep in mind, Justin Jefferson has been like a top 3 wide receiver in the league the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And you're making him look bad. That should tell you something. And I get that. Maybe he's better. Maybe J.J. McCarthy is better than their backup Max Brosmer. Okay, who wouldn't be? But at the same time, the Vikings were betting on this kid because of the fact that he won a national title with Michigan, but he wasn't really the big story in that game when you look back on it. It was Blake Corum, the big running back, who's doing well in the NFL as a good transition as a backup running back with the Rams, behind Kyren Williams. So I feel like J.J. McCarthy, I think he was I think the Vikings were way too high on J.J. McCarthy. And McCarthy, he's just not been developed properly. And again, I don't know if it's just first year nerves. I don't know if it's just a mental block. I don't know if it's the line is not giving him enough time or whatever the case may be. It's just simply whatever a good quarterback should have. J.J. McCarthy just simply doesn't have it. And it is what it is. That's why the Vikings made this move to get Kyler Murray to see what they have in him. And if they can put up a decent season, they might even extend him. But if not, that's fine. Because like I said, Kyler Murray can be the 1-year bridge gap quarterback, and you have a plethora of great quarterbacks in next year's draft class so you can choose from, whether it be Arch Manning or whoever, and then you can choose to go that route.
Well, you also got to remember, Minnesota royally blew up their team when they let Sam Darnold go, and they let a couple of their players go. They brought back Aaron Jones, but to be fair, Aaron Jones was terrible last year.
Yeah, and not to mention they were in cap hell, so they had to cut ties with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. And Hargrave went to a division rival in Green Bay. Allen went to Cincinnati to join Boye Mafe, who won a Super Bowl with Seattle. Him and all 2 sacks of him, $20 million per year. Though he had some upside with him as a starting defensive end.
Yeah, it's just Minnesota just seems like they're going backwards. And ideally, after a 14-win season, you want to prove people wrong that getting rid of Sam Darnold was not a mistake. Well, you see him win a Super Bowl? Yep, you really made a mistake. And now you're trying to compensate for it by getting Kyler Murray in there. And Kyler Murray's career trajectory has gone down after a promising 1 or 2 years.
I will never understand why the Vikings thought it was a good idea to let Sam Darnold go after the year that he put on for them. And not only did Sam Darnold do well with the Vikings, he led the Vikings to a 1 seed in the NFC.
Had a chance at it.
So it's baffling why they decide to not pay the guy. This reminds me, again, like the Giants, they decide not to pay Saquon and pay Daniel Jones instead, and now look where he's at. He's getting a bag on a team that was very good to start out and then completely fell off a cliff. And they had to sign washed up, retired Phillip Rivers for 3 years. And now he's going to be out of Hall of Fame consideration. So now, like, if you're the Vikings, you're kind of stuck with Kyler Murray because he seems like he's the only option that you really can do. Because you're not gonna sign and bring Kirk Cousins back because you already gave up on him. You gave up on Sam Darnold, and you completely given up on J.J. McCarthy, which I don't blame you for you there. So you kind of have to make the signing for Kyler Murray and then wait and see what next year's quarterback draft brings.
That's probably just the whole thing with these teams that need a quarterback. It's a wait and see kind of thing.
Yeah.
One move I do want to touch on really quick, and I think this is really good for the Raiders. They brought in and signed Ryan Linderbaum, the Ravens center, to a 3-year contract. This was good. That was the guy I wanted to come to the Giants because our offensive line was really good, but Ryan Linderbaum would have made it 10 times better. But he goes to the Raiders. So if you're Fernando Mendoza and Ashton Jeanty, you're getting better protection up front.
I think you mean Tyler Linderbaum. But yeah, Linderbaum was an incredible signing, for sure, for the Raiders. I think that was Linderbaum was just one of the many great signings that the Raiders have gotten. And the fact that they got Max Crosby back because of the whole Ravens drama. And now it seems like the Raiders are perfectly content to keep Max Crosby still there, along with all the money that they have honored with the free agents or the money that they did spend on the players that they did get. The problem is, yes, they have the option to keep him, but I don't know if they really can do that. And what I mean by that is because with Max Crosby, he verbally said, towards the end of last year that, I'm done with the Raiders. And now all of a sudden that the trade didn't fall through. He's like, just kidding, guys. We're Raiders. Don't believe in false narratives. I don't really believe that. Also, the cap hit, I feel like that Max Crosby is going to get. I feel like there's a lot of suitors that are still in play for Max Crosby. So I think if you're the Raiders, now that you got all these free agents signed, I feel like if you were already willing to trade Max Crosby once, I feel like you can trade him again and get more draft capital. It's like, okay, at first he cost 2 first-rounders. Now let's make him cost 3 first-rounders, or maybe a player and get him more of equal value. So, I feel like the Raiders could easily do that because I think keeping him, I know he's injured right now, but I think that should also benefit the Raiders more in the sense that, they've had all this cap space and they have, the leverage by still keeping Max Crosby. So they have all the leverage there of what they decide to do. But keeping him is fine, but I feel like that they would be better off if they did trade him for more draft capital and they did give a player of equal or some decent caliber towards him. That's just me.
That's fine. I get what you're saying, though. Al, real quick, you want to mention something, and then we got to get to a break.
All right, so some other signs of note. Bradley Chubb to Buffalo, which they have to want to get someone onto this new scheme, and Chubb is a free 4 outside linebacker, which fits the system that Jim Leonhard is installing. So he's a designated post-June 1st cut by the Dolphins. So Chubb to Buffalo is a good fit, as the Bills, who are typically a 4-3 defense, they're now switching to a 3-4 defense. The Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys, I already mentioned. That doesn't take them out of the running for Max Crosby if the Raiders want to trade him. But the other thing is the Patriots, Romeo Doubs, 4 years, $80 million. They get him to recoup some of the lost value that they lost with cutting Stephon Diggs. Now, this doesn't take them out the running about trading for A.J. Brown, but they're now less inclined to meet the Eagles' asking price now that they signed Dobbs. It looks like they're comfortable with the receiver core that they have with Kayshon Boutte, Romeo Doubs, and Mac Hollins leading the way. And he is good in Green Bay. Now that he joins New England, he gives Drake May that receiving help that he continues to have from last year carrying on to this year.
All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into a commercial break. Before we get into a commercial break, we're going to go into our winners and losers of the deadline. Not the deadline, but of the offseason the first week. And then we're also going to go into a little bit of college basketball as March Madness around the corner. And then Kevin has Fresh Founder Fried. And given what he put in the message in our little chat here, I can only imagine what it is. But before we get into all that, we got to get into our sponsor. That's DAS Technology Consulting. DAS Technology Consulting has been in business for over 30 years. One of the best IT consulting companies in the Northeast part of the United States. With third-party maintenance being their specialty, this This man, Darren Sirianni, knows what it's like to sell third-party maintenance and get you the best that you need for your IT infrastructure needs. Take a listen.
Our mission is to deliver high quality, scalable, and secure data center services that ensure seamless operations for clients across various industries, offering best-in-class data center services all under one roof.
And again, thank you, DH Knowledge Consulting, for sponsoring the show the way you have and supporting it. I know Darren Sirianni typically watches this show whenever he can on a weekly basis. So, Darren, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to us. But anyways, welcome to hour number 2 of Foursquare Sports. Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zolis, Alec Nava, John Welch on the IR with a coughing spree, which I know a thing or two about because coughs take forever to go away, especially after you're getting through being sick. So, John, we wish you speedy recovery. You know, when you miss 2 shows in a row, I mean, that you get a little concerned. So, hang in there, buddy. But we're going to get back into the NFL for a really quick second because we're going to quickly list our winners and losers of the offseason after 1 week and give brief explanations why. And then we're going to get into college basketball because a lot of craziness has happened over the last several days. So, I was going to say 3-3, but we're going to do 2-2 to make it a little bit quicker. Okay. So, Al, I'm going to start with you. Who are your 2 winners of the offseason thus far?
All right, so I'll first have to go with the Raiders. And yes, they can also be considered a loser in this, but I'm not putting in my 2 losers on this. They're one of the winners. So, but even though the Max Crosby fall will dominate the conversations, that's technically a trade, not a signing. The Raiders, they went all out upgrading a roster, building around their future QB, Fernando Mendoza. Edge rushers, linebackers, corners, Jalen Naylor, and the wide receiver room. Tyler Linderbaum was the single most important piece for Mendoza. That cannot be overstated. It's a heavy importance for centers for a young signal caller, especially when you have Jason Kelsey for Jalen Hurts. His production decreased mightily once Kelsey retired and Cam Jurgens is the center. That signing was a home run for the Las Vegas Raiders. You also had Kwity Paye on the defensive side, Quay Walker for the linebackers, Taron Johnson as well. This is a defensive unit that now is respectable. The Raiders are still rebuilding, but should Crosby remain a Raider and they don't trade him, this defense can go from project to something that is more interesting. I'm not sure if they're going to be a wild card team next year. I'm probably going to calm down on that and wait and see about it. But this is a team that can be taken seriously now. And the second winner, I know this is my team, but we are a winner in this, the Steelers. With Mike Tomlin gone, there's a lot of uncertainty to start the Mike McCarthy era. The additions are still a good start. Michael Pittman Jr. giving us a legitimate number 2 opposite DK Metcalf. And also with Rico Dowdle as the new backup running back to replace Kenneth Gainwell. Jamel Dean, most underrated signing of the bunch, as I said earlier. Sebastian Joseph Day, Jaquan Brisker to shore up the defense. That's pretty good there. My 2 losers are the Baltimore Ravens, which I have to say I'm putting them on here despite adding Trey Hendrickson. But you have to account for the fact that they lost all of Linderbaum, Isaiah Likely, and Aloy Gilman in the offseason, not to mention the way they handled the Max Crosby saga. And also, you're paying Trey Hendrickson $28 million per year for a 31-year-old edge rusher that missed 10 games last year to injury. Yes, he has 4 career seasons with double-digit sacks, but if you look at the career trajectory for edge rushers at least 30 years old or older, that doesn't tend to go well. The average is dipped to 7.4 sacks by age 31. Bottom out at age 34 with 4.5 sacks. The other thing to consider is that Crosby is a more well-rounded edge rusher than Hendrickson. Yes, Hendrickson may be arguably the better player now, but Crosby has the higher upside for that. So you're risking a lot of your money on an edge rusher that who is older than Crosby, and the career trajectory doesn't intend to go well. The other loser they have is the Denver Broncos. All right. They kept J.K. Dobbins, for that matter. Let's see what else they did. Any external additions? Hey, Broncos, did you forget to set your alarm clocks? Oh, Lord. The Uma Musume community has gotten into this. Somebody stop them!
Oh, man. All right. So, Kevin, who are your 2 winners and losers?
So I do have Raiders as a winner as well. Like for all the things that Alec mentioned, signing the big one, Tyler Linderbaum, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Kwity Paye, Malcolm Kuntz, Eric Stokes, Jalen Naylor, Matt Gay, and they keep Max Crosby for now. So I have him as a clear winner. And second, again, just like Alec, I'm going to go biased. My team as well. The Giants are also a winner in my eyes for all the points and the players that I mentioned earlier. Signing Isaiah Likely, Jordan Stout, Patrick Ricard, Tremaine Edmonds, Jason Sanders, Grant Newsom II, Ardarius Washington, Jason Pinnock, Elijah Campbell, and Darnell Mooney. And they re-signed Jermaine Illuminor, Isaiah Hodgins, Aaron Stinney, Evan Neal, and Micah McFadden. And so Giants are clear winners in mine. So those are my 2 winners. My 2 losers. I did have Ravens as a loser, but since Alec already picked them, I'll pick 2 different ones. One has got to be the Vikings for me as a loser because they lost Jalen Naylor, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, C.J. Ham to retirement, Ryan Wright, and Harrison Smith, and they still have J.J. McCarthy on this team. But they did get Kyler Murray as a nice consolation prize for 1 year, $1.3 million. But I think they're a clear loser here. Second loser, I'm going to go Jaguars because just like the points that Alec made on the Broncos, the Jaguars lost Devin Lloyd, Travis Etienne, and they haven't added any free agents and have no first-round picks. So that's a big blow to them. And I think the reason that they're not doing anything is because they want to get all those compensatory picks. But if that's the case, you better hope that you hit on those compensatory picks because if you're just waiting and see and letting your players walk and not add anybody, that's not necessarily a good formula because like last year, you got to cash in off the success that you had last year. Or Benny could argue that the Jaguars were a contender for an AFC champion last year. So like if you're not adding anybody, just losing people and not sitting and waiting, that's not really a good recipe for success in the offseason. So I have the Jaguars as a loser there too.
Okay. I'm going to start bad first and then go good. My 2 losers. I'm going to start off with the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. First off, I never understood letting Kenneth Walker walk in the first place. And then on top of that, you lost Boye Mafe. You let Tariq Woolen walk. And yeah, you extended Rashid Shaheed. Okay, good. But what else did you do to compensate for your team? You want to prove that you're a legitimate Super Bowl threat again? Well, you didn't really do that. You let your key contributors leave. And that's not necessarily what a good Super Bowl champion does. I know winning the Super Bowl, you feel like you don't have any pressure on your shoulders for the next year, but that doesn't mean anything. You want to keep the trophies coming, and Seattle didn't really do that. My second loser, I'm going Philadelphia. Again, similar to Seattle, you brought in Tariq Woolen, okay, fine, but you let 3 key defensive players walk. You let Jahan Dotson walk, who was a good complimentary receiver to Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, though you let him leave. Granted, he wasn't really doing much, but still, depth at wide receiver is important, especially because we don't know what's going to happen with A.J. Brown. I don't think he's going to be an Eagle this year. So that's my second loser. My winner, I want to try and go different on one of them, but I'll mention the Tennessee Titans first as a winner because, yes, they took the Giants that got cut and brought them over, and Brian Dale was probably responsible for that, but if you want to build around Cam Ward, a young quarterback, they brought in the right players to do that. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is perfect for him. I think Daniel Bellinger is a good safety blanket tight end for a guy like Cam Ward. So Tennessee, I think they're in the conversation for a running back because if you look at their running back room, it's not that good. So they might get Jeremiah Love, and if they do that, I think that'd be perfect for them to maybe at least be stable. Now, again, I don't think this team's a playoff team at all. I think that they're going to be a third place AFC South division team, but I don't think they're playoff bound at all. But if they're showing that they're moving in the right direction, and I think that's the ultimate point of this. And I hate to say the Giants, I'm trying to be different, but I got to go with the Giants. It seems like every day they do something. They've been active, they've been aggressive, and they're adamant that every move they make is going to help this team. John Harbaugh literally has worked tirelessly to put this team in position to succeed next year. Now, we got to hope that it translates to wins next year. But if you want to get fans excited, you got me excited. You got Kevin excited. You got a lot of Giants fans excited. Go out there and win some damn ball games. So those are our winners and losers of the offseason. One week in. The draft might change our opinions, but we'll see how that goes. Now we're gonna get into college basketball because, oh my God, do we even start off with the Big 12 championship? Probably not. I don't want to piss Kevin off.
No,
Actually, that might be his first round of Friday. Who knows? But the main story is not actually in the Big 12. It's in the MAC conference. On Thursday, it happened, and I was very, very upset about it. Miami, Ohio lost to 16-15 UMass in the quarterfinals of the MAC tournament. They didn't get to the semifinals. They lost in the first round. And as we speak, Akron and Toledo are fighting for that automatic qualifying spot for the MAC in the NCAA tournament. It was as soon as this happened, Miami, Ohio's hopes of getting in the tournament, bam, went down because they went from being a certified automatic qualifier to now possibly being in the last four and have to play in Dayton, which Alec and I said last episode was the worst case scenario. And now, when you see teams like the A-10, like you hope that Dayton doesn't win the A-10 tournament. Otherwise, you're probably a little dicey on the bubble. But if there's one thing I will say about Miami, Ohio, and this is important, is that their wins above the bubble are probably saving their butts. Because if you don't know what wins above the bubble are basically how you fare compared to other bubble teams. Miami, Ohio, they're behind UCLA, but they're ahead of teams like Ohio State and Auburn, who lost, thank God, and other bubble teams who are looking to get in. So that bodes well. What doesn't bode well if there's a bid thief? I haven't checked the college basketball scores. I haven't checked on the Mountain West Championship, but if the Mountain West is won by San Diego State, that's a problem for them because that's one tournament spot taken away from a team that's in the first four out. So, Alec and I talked about Miami, Ohio last episode. I got to start with Alec on this one. How much damage could possibly be done come Selection Sunday?
The implications are huge, but it's so strange that we're having this discussion because Miami, Ohio certainly deserves to be in March Madness. It should be in the 6-18 field. And even though the schedule may be historically weak, let's take a look at this. You can point to 296 ranked strength of schedule, the 93rd ranked in KenPom or 64th in net. But this Miami team is also 28th in strength of record, 37th in WAB at 1.7. For context, Auburn's WAB is 0.35. SMU's is 0.07. Indiana's is minus 0.49. That metric strips away the uneven strength and tells us something. Miami is performing better against their schedule than the average bubble team would. So teams like Auburn, SMU, and Indiana won't perform as well against Miami's schedule as the Red Hawks are doing. Yes, Auburn is going up against a tougher schedule, but mediocre teams who struggle against tough schedule don't deserve the glory of March Madness. Auburn, who went to the Final Four last year, has certainly been a mediocre team this year when you look at their record. And their resume doesn't back that up either. So Miami, Ohio certainly deserves this shot. 31-1, and even though this schedule doesn't scream world beater, yeah, you deserve to get this shot. Teams like Auburn, Cincinnati, and Indiana had a lot of opportunities for a lot of quad one wins. They whiffed on many of them. Miami doesn't get a lot of their chances. And it's not like Miami hasn't tried to schedule games against quad one opponents. In fact, they've tried to schedule 16 games against either Power 4 or Quad 1 opponents. Every single one of them unanimously laughed at their faces.
Bad. That's just bad. Now, before we get to Kevin, I do want to give a couple updates. Utah State ended up being San Diego State in the Mountain West Championship, so the Aztecs are probably out. Also, St. John's demolished UConn in the Big East Championship, so the Johnnies are Big East champions for the second year in a row. Arizona beat Houston in the Big 12 championship. We got VCU and Dayton in the A-10 championship tomorrow. And then we had Michigan won at the buzzer against Wisconsin. Couldn't believe that. Toledo is up by 10 over Akron early in the second half. That's crazy to me. What's also crazy is that Prairie View, the 9th best team in the SWAC, doesn't really say much, but they're up by 11 in the SWAC conference final against Southern. Again, these are all games that are going on right now, except for the ones I just mentioned. St. John's, congratulations. You deserve it. You know how to beat UConn pretty bad, don't you? But this is amazing to me, the fact that these bubble teams are now choking when they need it. And you mentioned Auburn for a second. Bruce Pearl, how do you feel right now, buddy? How do you feel right now? Your old team lost by 10 to Tennessee, and you gave a 20-0 run against the Tennessee Volunteers. How you feel, buddy?
Well,
Karma.
Karma is heartless.
So let me just say something to Bruce Pearl. He might not even see this, but who cares? If you want to say something about one of the best stories in college basketball, you have no heart. You're like a tin man. And you basically shouldn't be in TV anymore for having no heart or no will against one of the best stories in college basketball. And the fact that your son took over the program and is doing a terrible job, that just is more about you as a father and a coach than a TV analyst.
Matt is no chill today.
Auburn is 7-11 in conference play. What does that tell you?
Tells you that they stink. That's what it tells you.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, John Brome did leave for the NBA, but who cares?
Deny Broom, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make things better for you, man. It makes things worse. What I also want to mention, Kev, is that Miami, Ohio had the perfect regular season. And one thing I've said to people who argue against Miami, Ohio, a perfect regular season is a perfect regular season. You can't take that away from them. Only 6 teams in the last 50 years have done that.
Including Gonzaga.
Since Gonzaga. Indiana State, UNLV, Wichita State, Kentucky, Gonzaga, this team. Over the last 50 years. Like, that's rare company. And they should be acknowledged for that. Now, one thing I will say, yes, the strength of schedule does not help their cause. But you win more games than all these bubble teams or these Power 4 teams. I get the schedule is terrible. And the MAC is pretty bad. But you want to know something? You try and go 31-0 Kentucky. You try and go 31-0 Vanderbilt. You try and go 31-0 Duke. Try it. It's
not many teams
easy.
do it.
Like not many teams do it. Like John Calipari, Kentucky before Gonzaga, that was the last team to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you bring up a good point with Miami, Ohio. I think yes, I do think that their perfect record is saving them for the moment for being better than certain bubble teams right now. But like you mentioned, that loss that they did get against UMass, it does not bode well for them in terms of their tournament bid chances. And you mentioned the strength of schedule and the conference that they're in is not exactly like a world beating conference, as like the Big 12 or even the Big 10 is. But I do still think that Miami, Ohio should be in the tournament, even though that there's certain factors that kind of don't help their case, because like you said, a 31-0 perfect record, nobody can take that away from them. And I think that I mentioned this in our Discord chat early before we started recording, that this reminds me of this past college football playoff scenario,
right?
Where when they were doing the selection show, we were thinking are they going to put Miami and Notre Dame in, or are they going to put one in? And they decided to put Miami in and then leave Notre Dame out completely. And there was immediate backlash. We were like, why wasn't Notre Dame in and Alabama was in instead, and stuff like that. And then the committee made that decision based on because Miami beat Notre Dame and all that. And it ended up being the right decision because guess what?
It did.
Miami made it to the national championship, even though they lost. And who knows what Notre Dame could have done or how deep of a run they would have gone on if they did decide to put Notre Dame in and leave Miami out. We'll never know. But I feel like this is a similar case of what needs to happen here. I feel like they have to let Miami, Ohio in simply because of the perfect record alone. And then we'll see if it's the right decision or not. Miami could be like bounce the first round from a better conference team, or they can go on a deep run and possibly be a Sweet 16 team. So I feel like the committee or whoever is making the decision has to take that chance. Even though there's going to be backlash no matter what, if Miami's in or out, I feel like you have to at least give them a chance based on the record and what they've been able to show this season, albeit in a weak conference. The perfect record speaks for itself, and I feel like they might get past the first few rounds, maybe even a Sweet 16 bid if they play their cards right. I know the loss to UMass and the strength of schedule doesn't help their cause, but I feel like you got to give a team like that a shot based on the terrific season that they just put on.
Like this, you have to make the regular season mean something.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate thing I'm going to say right now.
Yeah.
And this could go one of two ways, especially that we're going to get a bid thief out of the A10, because whether it's Dayton or whether it's VCU, there's a bid thief no matter what, because VCU was supposed to be in the last 4 in. If they win the A10, they're going to get in the automatic qualifying and they don't have to play in the first 4. But Dayton's not even in the field at all. So if they win, that's a bid thief in itself. So there's a bid thief in the A10 no matter what. And if Dayton wins, you'll have 3 teams in the A10 in the tournament for the first time since 2018. So this was a good year, all things considered, for the Atlantic 10 Conference. But one thing I want to mention, if there's any team that should be more concerned about being out of the tournament, it's not just Miami, Ohio. Texas didn't have a good year. SMU cracked towards the end. Missouri was up and down. So there's just a lot. There are other teams that could take into effect. I think a perfect record should be awarded.
Yeah. If we're not rewarding a perfect record team with a March Madness bid, what's the point of playing the regular season?
Seriously. Like that's the main thing that people are going to say. Like, you can't do that, and like just because it's a mid-major conference. Hey, listen, Wichita State went 31-0, but then again they were dominant in their 31-0 regular season. They were dominant. But it doesn't another thing that I think works for you, Miami, Ohio, they had one of the best offenses in the country. Literally top 2 or 3 the entire way. And then I think it was against Western Michigan where they started to fall in the ranks, but it doesn't matter. They were still top 5.
Yeah, exactly. There will be adversity here and there. That's what every team faces. Every team faces some adversity.
Yeah, I think the committee is going to have a really difficult time trying to figure this out, because they're like, okay, do we award a perfect season where this team didn't play anybody in a bad conference? Or do we go with a team like, I don't know, I got to look at the bubble again. But Auburn's not going to be in it. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be Auburn. 17-16, get out of here.
Come on, man. We don't reward mediocrity with a March Madness bid. 12th place in the SEC? Come on, get out of my face.
Yeah, seriously. So I think the committee's going to have a hard time on their hands. But I think Miami, Ohio should be in no matter what. I think that you look at the metrics, besides strength of schedule, everything says tournament team. The way they play, the record, everything. And if you keep them out of the tournament for one bad loss that doesn't involve regular season, then you're literally spitting in the face of the NCAA tournament and what it's about.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I got that out of the way. I literally been preaching for Miami, Ohio since Thursday when they lost, because it's the best story in college basketball. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true
sure.
in and of itself.
So I think there's a case to be made, and I think Miami, Ohio has that strong case. Whether or not the committee listens, that's beyond our control.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going to happen. But this makes Selection Sunday very interesting to watch.
I'll tell you right now, if certain teams like Miami, Ohio don't make it in, you're going to see a big outcry on Twitter. It's like, if you're not putting Miami, Ohio in, who are you replacing Miami, Ohio with if you're not going to place an undefeated team in there? And like you said, what good is the regular season? What good is a perfect season if you're not going to put them into the tournament and see what they can do? They could flat out fall on their butt in the first round. We'll never know, but you got to give them that chance, because
Exactly.
If you're not, what team is better than them that you can realistically say and justify putting them in instead? And like the example I alluded to earlier, okay, I get why you put Miami in instead of Notre Dame, but I feel like there's certain teams to where they should have been taken out and Notre Dame placed in. The good news is it was justified because Miami made it to the national championship. This has to be made so you can have a justification or non-justification depending on what happens, but you got to let them in first before we can make that assumption.
Now, you're referencing the college football playoff from this past year. I'll give you another college football playoff reference. When James Madison made it to the college football playoff as a 12 seed over Duke, and people were saying this shouldn't be the case because you had 2 non-Power 4 conference champions in there. Well, you were going to get one anyway, and it happened to be Tulane. But you had to reward James Madison for their body of work. You had to reward them for having a better strength of record and just the way they played across the Sun Belt. Like, that to me is what Miami, Ohio should be. Like, you gotta award body of work over big name brand. That's what I feel like you have to do. And James Madison got the last laugh in the college football playoff because Duke didn't deserve to be in the college football playoff in football.
They were 7-5.
They were 7-5 conference champion. No.
Unreal.
No. The day you put the day a 5-loss college football playoff team happens,
you start to not take it seriously anymore after that point, you know?
Yeah, it's too much at that point. James Madison absolutely deserved a bid.
Yes, exactly. So, again, like, this is just the analogy that I'm pulling out here for Miami, Ohio. And I know that, like, the committee, I don't know how they're going to sleep at night this evening. I really have no idea. But this had to be a discussion that had to be made. And I think that we're going to be in for a oh, my God, ESPN Sports Center will probably blow up if Miami, Ohio doesn't get in.
These next 21 hours are going to be the most stressful for Miami, Ohio. Students, fans, teachers, everyone there.
And I mentioned San Diego State not winning the Mountain West. That's good for them because that's one less bid thief that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
You also don't have to worry about Ole Miss jumping the gun up, jumping over everybody. Because Ole Miss, that was one hell of a story. The 15th seed in the SEC tried to win 5 games in 5 days, and they fell to overtime against Arkansas on the semifinals.
So, oh my, almost was an NC State from when they were the 11th seed in March Madness.
True.
It really was. And I also want to mention another thing. Georgia Southern pulled off the 5 wins in 5 days, although in the Sun Belt they had to pull off a 6 in 6 days. And they got beaten pretty bad by Troy in the championship. They wound up winning the Sun Belt. Georgia Southern was the 10th seed in the Sun Belt, FYI. So that is probably something that cannot be understated. 5 wins in 5 days is very difficult. 6 wins in 6 days, improbable.
It's unprecedented.
Seriously, and UConn did it in 2011. You mentioned NC State, and now this team.
It's unbelievable to think of that.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty special, I can say that. All right, now before we actually go into a little bit more March Madness talk and also Fresh Find and Fried, I do want to mention one thing. Our March Madness Bracket Challenge is coming soon. We will be sending out links at, I think, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday because that's when the bracket will be set and the madness will ensue. Now, I'm going to explain the rules one last time because why not? We will be starting our bracket challenge. The brackets will open on Sunday after Selection Sunday. So 7 p.m. after 7 p.m. If you want to chip in for a bracket, it's $10. The most you can create is 5 brackets, and the most you can donate is $50. At the end of the bracket challenge, the person with the most points based on their bracket will collect every dollar donated. Kevin won it last year. He won $600. So we're looking to exceed expectations from last year because that's pretty hard to top. $600 for startup. That was incredible.
Oh, dude, I couldn't believe it. And like I said, last year I went with a little bit of like smart picks. Like I went with gut picks and I went with homer picks and bias picks, and it paid off for me because I did correctly pick Florida against Houston And yes, I did correctly pick the national champions too, it being that it was Florida. I hate how it happened last year. I'm hoping it'll be different this year. But the loss today against Arizona, I'm not too confident about our chances going to back to the Natty this year. But we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to another March Madness bracket challenge. And I think I have some more realistic picks I have up my sleeve.
Now, even the simplest of people can pick a bracket because some people have strategies like, oh, look at their mascot. Oh, look at their team logo. Oh, the color scheme is nice. Like, there's other ways to do it. How do you not do it? Don't roll dice. Don't use 8 balls. You can ask ChatGPT, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I would not recommend it either because
Not
ChatGPT
recommend it.
no one knows like who's going to win. Like it's literally impossible.
Yeah.
As someone who's associated a little bit with IT and AI, I can tell you right now, AI is freaky.
Dude, that's why you have the quit GPT movement.
No.
Wait, that's a real thing?
Yeah. People are actively quitting ChatGPT right now.
I want to join that movement. Oh, man. But, yes, don't randomize your bracket. If you have a strategy, stick with it, and you'll be surprised how far it gets you.
We'll see how things go.
Now-
Then again,
Yep,
My
that's right,
boys
Alex.
are in
Your
it.
High Point University is in the tournament for the second year in a row.
True, yeah.
yep.
So is Gonzaga. So is Houston.
Someone getting left out here.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Rutgers getting.
Oh, no. Poor Rutgers.
Yeah, poor Matt.
Can we please fire Steve Peichel? Like, please?
I feel like you should just write a letter, Matt, and like say this is a 10-page essay of why Steve Peichel should be fired.
You know what's funny? When Foursquare Sports was on the come up, actually, but when we were under a different name, I did make a video last year on why Steve Peichel should be fired.
You did, yeah.
I did. And no one listened to me. It's just like,
man.
it's one of those things where it's like you see misery over and over and over again. You just want to crawl into a rock and just be like, yep.
Oh, trust
That's
me,
not my
I know
school.
that experience as a Giants fan. Trust me.
It's just like this program at one point was really good and they had decent players. Now they're just terrible.
Mhm.
Now they're just terrible and laughable. Okay, we won a game against Minnesota. It's just I can't take it with this school anymore. I really can't. And don't get me started on their football program. Their football program is atrocious.
Well, the one thing I could suggest, and I'll just suggest it right now. For my alma mater, UH, our football program has been garbage for so long, but look at what happened this past year. We get a different head coach. We get new personnel. We have guys developed properly, like Dean Connors, Tanner Koziol, who's a stud tight end, and we're getting the top quarterback recruit in Keyshawn Henderson this upcoming season. So UH is on the come up and they're heading in the right direction. I feel like Rutgers need to follow the same sort of blueprint and get a different coach as soon as possible, recruit well, and develop players properly, because a bad school can become good with the right development and the right coaching staff around them. So Rutgers definitely should take a page out of something like that for sure.
Yeah, and like what annoys me about the basketball program is that we had Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper for 1 year and they left right away.
Again, I'll say it, like not even applying to Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey. I said this with Cooper Flagg. I still am going to say it again. I'm not of the agreement of the mindset of putting freshman college players after 1 year going straight into the NBA draft. I don't like that, because I feel like you need to develop them for at least 3 years. They should be in college for at least 3 years. And then if you want to skip the 4th year and go into the NBA, that's fine. But like after 1 year, are you really going to, depending on if they're like an elite player after 1 year, you're really not going to see much development in a clear transition, like after 1 year of college ball. Like Cooper Flagg, okay, after 1 year, okay, he's fine in the NBA. Con Kneppel, he's fine in the NBA. Ace Bailey is okay. Dylan Harper is fine, but you don't see that happen quite often. Like, I feel like you need, when you develop more than 1 year on 3 years, I feel like that's, if you're good enough, I feel like you don't even need to go for the 4th year. If you're loyal enough, then you can stay for the full 4, even 5 years, or even 9, like that one guy in college football. So I feel like it depends on the player, but like overall, I feel like you need to be in college for at least 3 years before you can enter any draft of any kind, whether it's NBA or the NFL. Again, it depends on the player, but I don't agree after 1 year, like all of a sudden he's ready to become a pro. Like I simply don't agree with it. I'm sorry.
And one thing I'm going to say is that what about NIL money? Don't you love NIL money? Why would you leave that for NBA where you're going to be blasted straight into stardom and you're probably going to be under so much pressure right away as a 19-year-old kid?
I'll give you another example here from my team, UH. Kingston Flemings, a true freshman. He's been outstanding as a freshman at UH, and they're already projecting him to be like a top 5 or 6 prospect in the NBA. That's crazy to me, and I feel like we're going to lose him after this year. And again, I don't understand why. It's 1 year. I get he's been outstanding for 1 year, but why don't you develop him more and then be the future of this UH basketball team, where he can become a guy like Jamal Shedd or the next Marcus Sasser or the next Jerron Jarreau? Why don't you develop him to become that? If you're just going to let him go to the NBA after 1 year, then what's the point?
You want to know why they do this? I'm assuming they're doing this because they want to go straight for stardom right away. They're thinking that once they go straight for the NBA, that they're set.
But the thing is, to what team? Like, what team needs a starter now? Like, Wizards already have Trae Young. The Hornets are fine with Con Kneppel right now. Like, what bad team is going to want, like, a Kingston Flemings, an AJ DeBonsa, or whatever? Like, unless you are a team that's in dire need of a point guard or leader, there's no reason why college players should be going into the draft after a year. They're going to be a bench player, most likely, that may or may not be good, may or may not get minutes. And it really depends on the player. But I just don't think overall a player should be going after 1 year.
Maybe my team.
Maybe your team. Yeah, transfer. Yeah.
Oh, man. Alec, do you have any thoughts on this before we go to Fresh Find or Fried?
Well, that could have been a good segment for Fresh Find or Fried, but we have more on Fresh Find or Fried here. I don't have anything to add to that. As everything is on point from what Kevin said, from what he made. I have to say, it's a complicated issue, and it's very black and white.
All right, that's fair. All right, we're 1 hour and 37 minutes in. We're going to do it a little early, so get your popcorn ready because
it's time for Fresh Find or Fried.
this is the segment that closes out the show. We're pulling the gun a little early here. So the way the segment goes, as many of you know, one of us will get 5 minutes to say whatever sports take is on our mind. At the end of our 5 minutes, we will be rated. That person will be rated on a scale of fresh, fine, or fried. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning okay, and fried meaning fried chicken cutlets, which are actually pretty good. But anyway, fried food is not always the best quality. Kevin, you're on the hot seat this week. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so with the craziness that's happened this week, I could have had a ton of things to choose from for this Fresh Find or Fried. But I was going to do like UH because they lost against Arizona, but I'm not going to do that because I'll save it for another day. What I'm going to talk about is the World Baseball Classic. Now, the World Baseball Classic, as we all know, Team USA, they have Aaron Judge as their captain, and like they've had some great games, and they lost to Italy, which was a big shock. Right. What my Fresh Find or Fried entails is kind of like a two-parter. One is the way that the USA against Italy ended. Aaron Judge struck out, and people immediately on Twitter decided to blame the whole loss on Aaron Judge, to which I reply, why? Did Aaron Judge give up the 8 runs? Did Aaron Judge commit those 2 errors? Did Aaron Judge strike out the last two times before him? I suppose it's all Aaron Judge's fault, right? Because, I'm sorry, didn't Aaron Judge hit a homer in the first game didn't Aaron Judge have like a great play appearances before that game against Italy? And didn't Aaron Judge be is the captain for Team USA? Why are we blaming it on Aaron Judge? Is it Yankee hate? Is it just simply like Aaron Judge bias? Like, what the heck is it? Every time that Aaron Judge makes one mistake, they simply focus on that and they forget all the good that he did prior to that. It happened in the World Series when he dropped the ball in Game 5. It happened in the Blue Jays series before he hit that game-tying home run against Lewis Farland. And it's happening right now at the WC. It's garbage. I hate when people just blame Aaron Judge for one mistake instead of signifying like how well he did before previously. That's part one. Part two is Mark DeRosa. Mark DeRosa is the manager for Team USA. And when me and my dad were watching Italy against USA, my dad was like, "Who the heck is Mark DeRosa?" And I'm like, I'm not sure. Isn't he the guy that managed the White Sox? And I was thinking of Tony La Russa, who is a 70-something-year-old. And no, Mark DeRosa, I looked him up. I'm like, oh, now I know where this guy's from. He's the analyst for MLB Network. Why the heck do we have an MLB Network analyst as a manager for Team USA of the World Baseball Classic? Why the heck are we even doing that? And then if that wasn't bad enough for the coaching decision, you look at the game after USA beat Mexico in a tight game. Mark DeRosa thought that USA clinched a ticket to the quarterfinals when they in fact did not, because Mexico had to lose to Italy or get 5 runs or Italy get 4 runs. And Mark DeRosa is lucky that Italy knocked the brakes off of Mexico to give USA even a chance to still be in this tournament and for Team USA to punch their ticket to the semifinals after they won last night against Canada. So Mark DeRosa, I mean, and also the game against Italy, he was starting guys like Paul Goldschmidt against the righty. Now, he's on my team. Paul Goldschmidt hits lefties like no tomorrow. He hits 400 plus against lefties. Righties is a terrible ball player, like hitting wise. You start him over Bryce Terang. You start Will Smith over Cal Raleigh. And by the way, Will Smith in that game let 2 balls get past him. He can't block a ball. You put him in instead of Cal Raleigh. I know Cal Raleigh's had a very shaky WBC, but you got to put him in there. You didn't put Bryce Terang in there. You didn't have Alex Bregman or Byron Buxton in there for that game. All of them were on the bench. Mark DeRosa doesn't deserve to be a manager going forward for the future WBCs going forward for Team USA, because we couldn't have gotten one former manager or player for the MLB or that has experience to coach Team USA. Like, you look at Team Italy, they have Jorge Posada on their coaching staff. You look at Team Italy, they have Francisco Cervelli. You look at Team Puerto Rico, they have Yadier Molina. Why couldn't we have an MLB experienced coach to coach Team USA? It makes no sense of the word to me. And Mark DeRosa should thank his lucky stars that Team Italy is dominating the way that they are, because they snuck the brakes off of Team Puerto Rico earlier today. And you better hope that Paul Skeens has the game of his life against the Dominican Republic tomorrow, because frankly, I don't know if the USA can beat the Dominican Republic unless Paul Skeens has a fantastic game. And also, Tariq Skubal, really quick, why the heck would he bow out of the WBC if he's going to pitch only 55 pitches and then just simply not pitch the rest of the WBC? I think that's a cop-out, and I think Tariq Skubal definitely deserves some shame for that.
Right at the buzzer. Well done. All right. I'm not going to say names, but that Aaron Judge thing, you know who you are. Alex, Fresh Founder Fried.
Oh, man. Every time I hear Kevin and FFF, I know it's just going to be as fresh as it can get for this. And this, he continued to deliver on it. So, Kevin, well done. I continue to question why Mark DeRosa is even the manager of the United States for the World Baseball Classic. Usually, you would have a former manager that has built success on his resume, or you want to have a currently established manager currently managing any MLB team that is of this country that has led his team to success. And Mark DeRosa being an analyst on MLB Network, who hires an analyst on MLB Network who has little to no managerial experience to being a manager of the United States. You look at other international teams like the United States basketball team. Steve Kerr won championships with the Warriors. Mike Sullivan won Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins of the U.S. men's hockey team. And so you have success over the basketball and hockey sides. And both of them won gold medals with their respective Olympic teams. And also, when you have players that are actively opting out of the World Baseball Classic, this is the elitist mindset that I have a problem with American players. Treating this World Baseball Classic as an exhibition and not as one of the biggest international sporting tournaments ever. You're talking about your country that you're playing for. You have to have some pride for your country when you're playing for an international tournament. You can root for your team and not condone some of the stuff that's happening on your country. Two things can be true at once. But this is your country that you're playing for at the same time. This is up there with the likes of the Olympics, the FIFA World Cup. You have to also think about other international tournaments there. FIBA World Cup, you're talking about basketball. Four Nations Face-Off in the NHL. World Cup of Hockey, if to add on to this. Well, what else is there? Any other international tournaments there? Fill me in for it. I've heard of this international cricket tournament. I don't know the name of it, but the United States did go far on it last I checked. But lost out to some of the Eastern nations like Pakistan, India, some of those that are stronger at cricket. I can't remember the full detail because I'm not too deep into cricket as some of the Eastern nations are. But the point stands here that we got to move on from Mark DeRosa because he is not the guy here for the United States. And also the opting out, just stop it, please. It'll do a lot of justice if we have less players opting out of the World Baseball Classic and treat this tournament seriously.
Okay. I'm riding right with Alec. This is as absolutely fresh as it can be. First off, I'm going to say this. The Aaron Judge bashing, if you're bashing Aaron Judge and you're saying he cost you that game against Italy, wake up. Wake up and smell the roses. Not the coffee, not the espresso in the Italy dugout. Wake up and evaluate the game as a whole. Don't throw all your biased opinions on one player just because you hate him so much. That's number one. Number two, the Mark DeRosa thing, I don't even understand why we're having an analyst for MLB Network as our manager. Why can't we just bring in an American manager? Why can't we bring in Aaron Boone, even though I hate his guts? Why can't we bring in like an MLB manager should be managing a major league team, not an analyst? So you're taking this as a joke almost by doing this. And you got to know what the situation is going into every game. First off, you only played 3 pool games, and you should know that you're in a 3-way race for the top spot in your pool. That's number one. Secondly, not starting certain players in bad matchups. It's bad. Lack of experience galore in this situation. And the U.S. and Mark DeRosa should be paying Team Italy dinner for beating the brakes off of Mexico. Because if that didn't happen, we'd be in a national embarrassment. Because the team we had this year on paper was supposed to be dominant. And then when we lost to Italy, it was like all hell broke loose. So that's the other thing. One last thing I want to say. This opting out of the World Baseball Classic, treat this seriously. You know what? Any World Baseball Classic or Olympic gold medal or Four Nations Face-Off, all these Olympic international tournaments should be taken as seriously as a championship in your own sport. Because your country pride is on the line, and that should be the main focus. Hell, listen, if the Knicks ever win an NBA title, I bet you Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns would love to play for Team USA and actually win them a gold medal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. For that reason, that's the point I was trying to get across. Treat this seriously. And also with the manager, if you want an American manager that can manage this 1,000 times better than Mark DeRosa, could you be going after a former manager of an MLB team or even a current manager of an MLB team like what USA Basketball and USA Hockey are doing with their respective sports? Could you just call AJ Hinch and have him on board with USA Baseball?
Right.
Bruce Bochy. I mean, there's plenty of coaches to choose from.
Yeah, Bruce Bochy. Dave Roberts.
Yeah, there were a lot of options, but no, you went this route. That's like you could even call in someone who's retired that may still have a little pep in their step. Listen, we had Clayton Kershaw on our roster. He's retired.
Call Joe Torre. I'm sure he would love to do that.
I bet you $1,000 Joe Torre would have taken that job if they'd called him.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Or maybe even Joe Girardi.
Girardi too. Yeah, he has experience. Like, bring in an experienced manager, not an analyst. Like, what's an analyst going to do? It's kind of like how Aaron Boone's our manager, and he was an analyst for MLB before he took the job for the Yankees.
Or kind of the fact when, remember the Colts made Jeff Saturday their head coach?
Yep.
Kind of like that. And another thing, two more things about Mark DeRosa. You got to remember, this is the same guy who, when he was talking about the AL MVP race between Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh, he thought that the average didn't matter for Cal Raleigh and said, I don't want Cal Raleigh clogging up the base paths with a 290 average. And the other fact of the matter is, when Mark DeRosa got caught, like simply not knowing what the scenarios were, he straight up lied to the press and said, like, there's a lot of false narratives out there. I was fully aware that we needed to beat Italy. I was fully aware that you straight up lying is one thing, but or another thing. Straight up not knowing is one thing, but straight up lying when you don't know is another completely different thing. And that just sets your, what's it called? Not reputation, but your, what's the word I'm looking for?
Integrity.
There you go. The integrity is just gone way down the toilet. And the fact that he even said in that press conference that like, guys were celebrating after the Mexico.
Yeah.
Why you had all those players on the bench and that they looked poorly on defense because they were partying last night because they knew that it was that they thought they advanced to the quarterfinals because you told them because you didn't know the rules and scenarios. That's terrible managing. And again, you are lucky that Italy beat the brakes off of Mexico and that you were able to just squeeze out a win against Canada because it would have been a national embarrassment if you lost to Canada and not advanced at least against the Dominican Republic. So I think Mark DeRosa definitely should be thanking his lucky stars, and he should not be we should not be having analysts be managers for a big tournament like this that only occurs once every 4 years.
Absolutely. I think that every 4 years, this should be priority number one before an MLB season. I think it gets the players ready to play a little bit beforehand. I think it's a great way to create international awareness to other teams and put them on the map. Italy's having the Cinderella run of their lives, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No one suspected them.
Like, no one expected them to do that. Like, we thought that the U.S. and Japan and the DR would be, like, 3 of the Final 4. We were wondering who that fourth team would be, and there it is. And what a story it's turned out to be.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I feel like the espresso machine, whenever they hit the espresso shot. Now, espresso is supposed to give you a lot of caffeine and like amp you up.
Yes, it does.
I feel like that amps them up every time they get a home run. I feel like it gives them like an extra caffeine boost, no pun intended. So I also feel like it's just it's great chemistry, great camaraderie, and they have a ton of passion like playing baseball. Same thing with the Dominican Republic, which is why I feel like I don't know if USA can beat the Dominican Republic for just the simple fact that Dominican Republic is stacked. When you look at their roster and the way that they've played, they've not just beaten their teams and barely squeaked by like the USA has. They've been dominating their teams. Like they beat Korea in the last round off a mercy rule, 10-0 in 7 innings. And they've been doing this against every opponent. Their lineup is stacked and they're playing with so much passion and fun. Like if you look at all of their home run celebrations, they're like dancing around the base paths. They're having so much fun in the clubhouse. You look at like the Dominican fans in the DR, they're having fufuzelas like going on in the background with so much noise. They're having the time of their life. Like it's, I just feel like a culmination of all that. That's tough to compete with. If you're the USA, even after you beat Canada, you barely even celebrate. You were like, okay, we won. All right.
On to the next one.
Yeah, on to the next one. It's like you don't it's not the same type of mentality like after a win like DR has or after Italy has. For Japan, like I feel like Japan is going to have a good run And we'll see what they do tonight against Venezuela. I think that's ongoing right now as we speak.
It is ongoing right now, and I actually have an update on that.
Yeah.
Top of the third, Venezuela's up 2-1.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, depending on what happens there, like, I think if you were to ask me right now, I think it'll be DR against Japan. And I think that DR would win it all simply because of the fact that I mentioned. But I would love nothing more than to see USA against Japan and to see Otani against Judge. I want to see that matchup so bad, but I just don't know if it's going to happen.
All right, I will say this when it comes to the World Baseball Classic. We have a little bit of time, so I might as well just say something. The Dominican Republic is facing us. The pitching matchup is not great for the DR because they're starting. They're starting Luis Severino. They're starting Sevy. And Sevy is very vulnerable against this USA lineup.
Actually, hold on. I had a stat that I shared earlier. I'm going to pull it up. Hold on. If I could find it. Where is it? Bookmarks. Where is it? Wait, hold on. Let me go to Discord first, and then let me go to.
You have a little time.
Discord, and then let me go to baseball because I put it in chat earlier. Here we go. So Luis Severino, his stats against these players. Against Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber's had a 333 average, 889 OPS, and he's 9-3 against Severino. Against Cal Raleigh, who struggled immensely in this World Baseball Classic. Against Severino, lifetime, he's also had a 333 average, a 1.167 OPS, and a homer, also 9-3. Against Bryce Terang, 375, 750 OPS. Against Bryce Harper, 400 average, 2.1 OPS, and a couple of homers. And against his former teammate, Aaron Judge, 600 average, a 2.067 OPS, and a homer against him. So that favors very well against the U.S., who are going to start all those players.
Yep. That pretty much is a recipe for disaster for the DR. And honestly, Paul Skeens has to pitch the game of his life in this one.
He has to.
Because this Dominican Republic team can slug.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So
before we actually do get going, Italy is going to advance. Well, Italy advanced today. They're taking on either Venezuela or Japan. Please, Venezuela, please. It's just but baseball is the precursor to baseball, and that's what I love about this tournament. And that was Fresh Fire Friday. So we do have 3.5 minutes. One thing I do want to say, throughout the month of April, which is Autism Awareness Month, I will be sporting a Autism Awareness baseball jersey that I got in 2021 when I was covering the Staten Island Senior Games. It's a great event. It was a great event, and I got the jersey for it. As someone who's autistic, people with autism should not be taken lightly at all. And I know Alec mentioned his diagnosis, and it's an amazing story seeing two people with autism on this show doing their damnedest to make things work. And we work hard. We're creative. We're enthusiastic. And I think you can tell it right here.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. So, Pie Day is going to conclude. And one thing I will say, I'm probably going to get pepperoni pizza right now. But before after the show ends, not going to lie.
One more thing I forgot to mention, and I can't believe I didn't mention this.
Sure, go ahead.
But how about March 10th, Mario Day? The day that will probably go down in one of the best sports days you're ever going to see. That was the day that the Max Crosby trade didn't pull through. Geno Smith was sent back to the Jets. Correct. The USA loses to Italy in the World Baseball Classic, and Bam Adebayo scoring 83 points in the game against the Wizards. So March 10th, Mario Day, 2026, will go down in history for a big day in sports history.
And I will say this: the people who are complaining about Bam Adebayo's 83 and saying that he legitimately earned it, the Wizards were fouling him a lot.
Every time, yeah.
They were sending players after him to prevent him from scoring. They were more helping him, if anything.
Yeah.
Plus, Bam already earned his flowers from some of the all-time greats: Dwayne Wade, LeBron, KD, Giannis. And you know what I would say? If Kobe were still alive, he would have congratulated Bam himself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He would have. Yes. Think of it: 83 points. That's second only to Wilt Chamberlain's 100.
That's probably the closest we'll ever get to see 100 ever again.
I highly doubt someone could put up 100 points in an NBA game.
Look,
I think it's impossible at this day and age.
we're never going to see anything like this for decades.
Yeah.
Never. Anyways, from Kevin's Always Gold Stock now on that Sirianni. God bless you all for tuning in to today's episode of Foursquare Sports. Hopefully we can get John Welch back because John is a fighter. He's getting through the sickness, but he's going through the most we can. John, we're behind you 100%. We put in the work. We're all for each other here. Anyways, like SpongeBob SquarePants always says, old people are the greatest. They're full of wisdom and experience. Be there for your elders. They're the people that help this generation excel and grow into the people that they are today. But anyways, this has been Foursquare Sports, which is sports at its absolute core. We will be back next week. We're part of Prime Coverage Sports Network and 102.3 KXP. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a good night. We will see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Foursquare Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.